Okay, so moving on, negative bases. Negative bases, not a bad thing, they're just negative, they're not positive. So I've got the number -1 here, -1 to the power of 1, -1 to the power of 2, -1 to the power of 3, -1 to the power of 4, -1 to the power of 5. Let's investigate what happens to them when they're to these different powers. Now, anything to the power of 1 is just equal to itself. So, -1 to the power of 1 is -1. Great. -1 squared is -1 times -1. And let's hope you know what happens when a negative number is multiplied by another negative number. Well, what's going to happen? It's going to become a positive result. So -1 times -1 is going to be equal to +1. And if you think about it this way, if I had 1 times 1, that equals 1. 1 times -1 would have to be -1, right? Or -1 times 1 would also have to equal -1. But if I've got a negative times by another negative, well, it can't be -1 because -1 times 1 is -1, whichever way you put it round. It's actually going to make it a positive number. It's like saying when you have a double negative. So if someone says to you, there ain't no way I'm doing that, really they're saying they're going to do that. Anyway, getting off track a bit. But anyway, so over here, -1 times -1 is going to be +1. -1 to the power of 3 is equal to -1 times -1 times -1. We've already shown that -1 times -1 equals +1. So we've got +1 times -1 is going to equal -1. Not tricky at all, is it really? -1 to the power of 4 is equal to -1 times -1 times -1 times -1. We know that -1 times -1 is +1. We know that +1 times -1 is -1, because we just showed that. So -1 times -1 is going to be +1. So hopefully you're seeing a pattern forming here. Now if I do it 5 times, -1, it's hard to do many of them, equals -1. So we can make a generalisation from this, we can make a rule. If I look at the powers here, that's an odd power, that's an odd power, and that's an odd power, and these two here, 2 and 4, are even numbers. So I could say that if the negative base Okay, so if a negative base has an odd power, the answer is negative. If it has an even power, then the answer is positive. Okay? So my example here is just with ones, but I could do it with anything. If I had -5 squared, it would be positive 25. If I had -5 to the power of -3, so if I had -5 to the power of 3, then it would be -5 times -5, which is positive 25, times by another -25 would make -125. So I hope that's okay. Come back to this in your booklet, in your textbook if you need to. But really it relies on you just understanding how positives and negatives work when you multiply them together and looking at how many times something is going to be multiplied by itself.